You smell what The Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega power, yeah.
We got it for you.
We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling dealing.
Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Welcome to Talk 'Em in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we focus specifically on the pro wrestling promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype men, and we pontificate on the promo. My name is Adalid out here in the West Coast, in LA, and I have my homies, my compadres, my pro wrestling aficionados, Greg out in Atlanta. What's up, Greg? How you feeling?
What's going on, man? I'm feeling good. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you. And Adrian, rocking the Georgia gear as always. Shout out to Georgia.
Man. Go Dogs.
Yeah. Go represent.
Couple weeks away.
So on the topic of that, we're looking at TV and we're looking at what do promos look like when they're presented on television. For this week, I want to take a little step back because a lot of times we're focusing on the in-ring promo, the arena promo, the outside promo. There's so many versions of the promo, but there is a science to the promo for the normies, as it were, because sometimes these pro wrestlers are asked to go on daytime TV, sometimes the most mundane local TV news station that has no interest in pro wrestling, to be really honest with you. And you're there to sell a show. You're there to talk them in the building, right? And sometimes it's like, we're out here in, Chatsworth, California, and, we have such and such on board. And, usually they don't know who the wrestler is. They're not interested. They have some version of wrestling from 30 years ago. So I'm going to come at you guys with this question. Whenever you've seen a pro wrestler go on any of these local shows, even on national TV, and you clearly know that maybe the interview isn't in tune, what makes you respect the process or makes you respect the interview process, maybe even the interviewer themselves when they have a pro wrestler on? And I'm thinking of different people that have done it over the course of history, people who know the product and maybe people that don't. What makes you feel like they're honoring what pro wrestling is? And I'm going to come to you, Greg, with that question first.
I think when I see somebody who's just like promoting Monday Night Raw or Wednesday Night Dynamite or whatever, from the interviewer perspective, I just look at somebody who doesn't ask them questions like about it being fake or something, like where they're more like they acknowledge that they may have watched it with their granddad, they may have watched it as a kid, they know who Austin is and who The Rock is or something like that. I'm okay with them saying that because they're trying to make a connection.
Right.
But then leaving it up to them to tell them to kind of catch them up, which automatically catches up the audience as to why they're in town.
Right.
And allows that wrestler to promote the show. But there's a flip side. You got to put the right wrestler in that situation.
Yes.
You
Yes.
cannot.
Yeah.
So when people sit back and go, this person should get the title, that person should get the title, that's part of, especially in AEW or WWE, part of that champion's role or that top level person's role. They got to go on that type of tour. You got to trust that person to get on there and handle the dumb questions and the naive questions, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's a big piece of it. But from the interviewer perspective, it's just somebody who may ask that question and just kind of sit back and let them talk. And now, really fun is when you find somebody who is a fan.
Yeah.
That's how Chris Van Vliet got his start. He used to do the interviews for like local stations, and there were people here in Atlanta who you can tell were fans. They're not necessarily fans now, but they were. And so there's that connection, and there's a little bit of marking out, which is, I think, that's the sweet spot. The sweet spot's not always the person who's a big fan; it's somebody who was a fan.
And you make a great point because as much as you want the right interviewer, you want the right wrestler. So I'm going to give you a question. I'm going to ask the question to Adrian here shortly. Whether it's the right wrestler or the right interviewer, who are those go-to people in your mind and your experience on the outside in that just make it work. You mentioned Van Vliet. I can throw in Maria Menounos for a little bit there, right? She respected the product. She knew what wrestling was, right? What wrestlers even come to your mind that are media savvy or even media trained?
I mean, the first one pops in my mind is Miz.
Miz, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you said it,
number one,
man.
yeah.
You can trust that dude to do anything. Miz is great. I think Cena's good. Roman is underrated.
Yeah.
You watch him in those situations, and pretty much any situation he's been in, he handles it well. Whether it's game day,
Right.
whether it's a local,
Yeah, I saw him
conversation.
on Pat McAfee, and
Yeah,
he knocked it out the park.
Cody.
Yeah.
I think they're all awesome. I think that's where AEW kind of lacks a little bit. You got this. That's where you kind of have to be careful with that MJF type of a character. I think he could
Yeah.
do it, and he could be that person, but you got to be careful with that heel all the time.
Yeah.
He might turn you off real quick.
He could,
Yeah.
and I mean that's where I think Hogan was all right at it. But if you look back at it, here's where I would blast Hogan. Hogan would go on shows and never talk about TNA.
Yeah.
Hogan was very selfish.
Talking himself, yeah.
He talked about himself, and he'd get on those shows and never talk about TNA, even though sometimes he was there to talk about TNA. And I'm just thinking about the negative side, right?
Yeah.
And I've always said this, and this is going to be controversial for the IWC. When everybody's saying Roman should lose to Sammy, I'm like, there ain't no way. There's no way I'm putting Sammy on one of those shows. I'm not.
He's all over the place.
100%. Watch him in
he's
the
all
press
over the
conference.
place,
He can't
yeah.
stay focused.
Yeah.
Great in the ring, whatever. You can't trust him to go out there and just roll with it. And that's what you have to do, because you've seen the other side. You've seen the David Schultz. You've seen the Vader. You've seen others that lose it and they go off, right? And all of a sudden they get arrested and lawsuits and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, it is a brilliant, and we are in a different era, and I think that's something we're going to explore today and kind of think about. Well, I'm going to save that question, but just the tease of it is, do we like what it is now in terms of being in the mainstream? Because I don't know. I don't want to give fully my answer, but I will in a little bit. It's like I kind of like a little bit of kayfabe. I like a little bit of playing as a character. But you're right. It depends on who it is too. Adrian, I'm gonna come at you with the same question, and maybe you can, now that it's a little more polished in terms of the framing. But what comes to mind when you see someone go on these like local shows or even national TV shows, these talk shows? What are you looking to get out of the experience and to honor the work that pro wrestling does, but also from the interviewer? And then are there any standouts to you, either from the interviewer side or the interviewee?
Well, the number one thing is, I mean, this is the name of the podcast. I want you to talk me into the building, right?
Exactly.
Talk me in the building. So it's a team effort, interviewer and interviewee, to collectively convince whoever's watching this programming to go ahead and buy some tickets to the show. That's the most important thing. When it comes to character and getting over that, that's all extra that further convinces someone to go see this personality, to go see whatever storyline that's happening or whatnot. One thing that I do enjoy about today's instances that I've seen of wrestling talent on local shows is the emphasis of their life outside of wrestling or their life prior to wrestling. I know NXT was here in Atlanta last year, I want to say, and they did the local circuit, and a lot of the talking points was emphasizing the athletic career of somebody like Trick Williams. Like they asked him, they were like, "Hey, you play football at University of South Carolina, man. What are your thoughts on SEC football, or what are your thoughts on what's the difference between you trying to make a team like the Philadelphia Eagles and you cutting it in WWE?" Like that in itself, even though everyone at this point will say, wrestling's not real and all that, once they position and frame Trick Williams as a former Division I athlete for a big time program in South Carolina, and he was on his way to being on an NFL roster, that will open some eyes. That will make someone say, hey, this wrestling is fake, but that dude's a real athlete. I want to go see him, you know? So, and somebody like a Bianca Belair, like, give me a break. Like, send her there. You can talk to her for days about things leading into her being a professional wrestler. So that's always a cool aspect of a lot of these daytime talk shows. I'm thinking more of the daytime Good Morning Atlanta shows or their your radio talk shows. They'll have these guys come in. I remember an AEW personality coming on to a sports talk radio show, and it didn't go over too well. But because I'm a fan, I was like, hell yeah, that's cool that they at least sent them out there to talk about it. The sports talk hosts are a little bit more rough, I would say, than daytime talk hosts. They're gonna definitely try to get their little jabs in here or there just to keep it going. But and just examples, my best examples of local talent, like Greg said, Miz is definitely number one on my list. Like you send Miz no matter what the hell's going on. I want Miz out there because he's gonna convince you that whatever he's doing is important and you want to see him there. But that Roman Reigns at Pat McAfee, that was a good episode, and he did a great job balancing between kayfabe and being legitimate and real, and convincing everyone to pay attention to whatever the hell he's doing.
And it's, dare I say, a skill that has come out of necessity, right? Because once, and we'll get into it tonight, but this idea of like, I have to be a character, I have to represent this character that I'm on TV, where now that facade is done. There's elements of it, obviously, like with the Roman, that we acknowledge that he is, he is the top guy. But to your end, there's an acknowledgement of the background. There's an acknowledgement of what led to that, and humanizing these people as legitimate, not just performers, but athletes, like you said. And luckily nowadays, all of them have the cachet to do that. I want to start off the night with a real fun one. Thanks for engaging with that. I agree with all your answers. I was going to say this too, Greg, because that dude's, come on, he's going to be the host of the New American Gladiators. Come on, like that's so awesome. I want to start off with one of my favorite interviewers, because I just asked you, and it's someone that I know gets the props. Regis Philbin, man. If you grew up in the 90s and you watched enough daytime when, you were off on summers or you were homesick and you turned on the TV, it was fun to see that dude just conversate, just be able to take at answers and keep it super light. And he was a huge wrestling fan. I mean, the dude knew wrestling. He was part of WWF as an interviewer himself. So I'm going to bring that first to you tonight. And I want you to just react as we're watching it, because Live had tons of wrestlers over the years, and it's just one little interaction.
Why would somebody want to go in the ring with him?
The thing is, he does it with a smile, doesn't he? All right, here is Yokozuna and his advisor, Jim Cornette.
Come on, wake up. Wait a minute, is this going to work? Yoko, you can't even get good furniture out here, Regis. Come on, the
sorry, Jim, I thought it...
Yoko, I'm so sorry. Would you like me to sit? Thank you very much.
All right.
Can't even get good furniture. Hello, Regis. I'm so excited. Hello.
Yoko, welcome to the show. Good luck tonight.
How are you?
We had Lex Luger here,
I know, that's why we demanded equal time, because everybody might have thought Lex Luger came out here, the guy that Yokozuna is wrestling tonight at SummerSlam live on pay-per-view. He came out here, and I know everybody was real taken with him, but you see, Yokozuna, I know Luger's got a big body, and he's all muscular, good-looking guy. Yokozuna is ruggedly handsome. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
He is ruggedly handsome. He gets a lot of fan mail and a lot of love letters from a lot of... In fact, Christina, we have answered yours. It's in the mail. Okay?
Wait, time out.
Okay.
Time out. Why are you wearing this around your neck?
I'll tell you, I got up off my deathbed to come out here today. I got dropped on my head in Knoxville, Tennessee about 10 days ago, but I got up off my deathbed. I couldn't miss a chance to see Regis, because The way you dress, Regis, the way you conduct yourself, you'd make a great wrestling manager. And I want to talk to you about some lessons for a low price, because they pay him a lot to do the show for a low price. I'll be glad to study under me.
I may take you up on that.
May I ask a question?
You might not get an answer, but you can ask it.
This belt that he has on his shoulder, is that the championship?
That is the World Wrestling Federation Championship belt. That's what's on the line here. Would you like to fondle? If you
yes,
okay.
I'd like to maybe see if this fits. Oh, it's heavy.
Oh, it might go around Regis.
It might become part of a jewelry collection. Look to me on the Home Shopping Network soon.
Don't walk too far, Regis. He gets nervous if it goes more than 3 feet.
Wow. You tell me about Yokozuna.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm so excited tonight because at SummerSlam, Yokozuna's been the World Wrestling Federation champion for quite some time now. He faces his toughest test against Lex Luger.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. Don't do that.
What's the matter? Dr. Kevorkian was booked this week. You want to take a hard Oh, Regis. But anyway,
how do you advise him?
Yokozuna is a champion. I'm the official English language spokesperson because, Mr. Fuji, who is the manager of Yokozuna, as a matter of fact, he's right now at the airport getting our Learjet all gassed up, ready to go to Detroit. he simply hired me to interpret some of the contracts because there's not a lot of English words that I haven't heard or used.
Yes, but how does he converse with you?
Yeah,
he
but
He doesn't have to say anything to me because Mr. Fuji does all that, and Yokozuna just gets in the ring and tears people bit from bit. And tonight at SummerSlam, Lex Luger, he's been doing a call to action campaign where he's ridden a bus all across America. As a matter of fact, he ought to get a friend named Norton, and he'd be perfect because then they could redo the honeymoon.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'll tell you something right now. Yokozuna, while Lex Luger's been riding the bus, Yokozuna's been training. He's been eating at a buffet 16 times a day. Hey, I'll tell you what. We went to a restaurant. Mr. Fuji ordered. Mr. Fuji ordered a steak medium rare. I ordered a steak well done.
Okay.
Yokozuna said, knock the horns off, bring it out on a leash. He'll eat anything.
There's a fun segment right after this. They do like a tug of war with Yoko and a couple of the crew, or I don't know who else was on the other side. I forgot. Adrian, I'm going to come to you. You grew up of an era where you remember Regis and having wrestlers on. What are your thoughts on this? And Cornette, man. Cornette just knocks it out of the park. Let's just put that out on Front Street.
He's a legend, man. He's a legendary freestyler. Like anything you throw at Cornette, he's going to knock it out the park. He's one of my GOATs for sure. But Regis Philbin, legendary Mark. You could tell that he loved pro wrestling and always got so excited whenever somebody was on that show because you could tell he's a fan, man. Just long story short, you could tell the dude was a fan. As soon as they start messing around with that title belt, he got super excited. And I just love the interaction between him and Yoko, where Yoko's not saying anything, but Regis like, I'm still going to mess with you. But also be a little afraid. He understood the role, and he knocked it out the park, man. Shout out to him. Mm-hmm. He's legendary.
Hell yeah. Greg, what are your thoughts on Regis and maybe just this interview overall?
One, we just talked about trusting people. The fact that Vince let Cornette go on that run is huge. Because you got to think about, think about today. You don't see somebody walking out in their gimmick like that. And the entrance music, all that, right? So I think that tells you something about the time frame. But the trust that they put into Cornette, and Cornette just ad-libbed everything.
Yeah.
You can tell it was ad-libbed, the whole thing. And the fact that Yoko kept a straight face, pretty remarkable too. But you can see Regis gets it. And not only does he get it, he gets it for his audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the key to this, the right person, like they said, they already had Luger, but now the right person came out and they set it up with a video, similar to how Adrian talked a second ago about setting up the Trick Williams thing. You gotta go back to this by showing those moves. It's kind of like, this dude's huge,
right?
And I don't know what that is, but I don't want him dropping that leg on me. Right. And so that kind of sets up a foundation for that audience. And then, Regis giving him a hard time. So it's still the playfulness which is what he was famous for. So I like this segment from that perspective.
It's fun. And to your end, you made a really astute point, which is he's setting it up for that audience too, while also giving the nods to the pro wrestling marks, right? The ones who know the ins and outs, but little things, clear this audience, it's a lot of stay at home moms, even in the studio, and he's putting over SummerSlam. He keeps saying it over and over and over, and like, and playing into the kind of this grandiose idea. He ate 16 times today or whatever it was, and it's like, it's fun. It fits it perfectly because we all get it. Like, even people in the show get it. And if you haven't checked out any of those Regis or live interviews, man, go back. He has so many wrestlers on. He has like a very young Rock. He has Brett. He has Shawn Michaels. He has there's a funny one that's it's Diesel right after he won the championship, and he's in a full suit. He's not in gimmick, and it's a very jarring interview. I might bring it up here towards the end if we have some time left over. All
there
right,
was
cool.
also one. Now, we don't know what he's bringing, but there was one that he did that was on Regis and Kathy Lee, with Kathy Lee on there. That was a guest host on that one.
Right.
Okay.
And it was Rick Rude.
That's right. Yeah.
And Rick Rude came
with
out
Bobby.
with Kathy Lee's face painted on his.
That's right.
Really?
Yeah.
And she got pissed.
Airbrushed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Nice.
he was
not happy about that.
Like he was going to be in the ring, but her face was on his tights. And I actually saw something about that not too long ago, and that she was mad.
Wow.
Mr. Gifford was gonna not have it that night.
Shout out to Frank.
That's right. Oh man, I love that daytime stuff, and especially with anything with Regis. But yeah, and just the ability to keep a straight face. Man, you knew that whoever was booking that show was definitely, taking notes, and they were probably more than one wrestling fan at the time, especially at the height of pro wrestling at that time. I mean, like this, we're talking like the early 90s too.
Definitely.
Well, there's something to be said about being in character and promoting yourself, and I think it works for some people, not for everybody necessarily. I'm going to fast forward a little bit to something more modern.
She doesn't understand that.
How have you two been able to find the balance between work life and being mom and dad?
It's much more of a balance for you. You know what I mean? She's the one who had to carry. You know what I mean? She did the work. I'm just dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know that there is a balance. For the first 3 years, we just brought her everywhere with us. So anywhere we went, she went. So she was on the road 52 weeks a year, different city every night, and she was a trooper. And then I took a little bit of time off over the last year, was able to get her settled in school and get her activities. And so I suppose that's the balance, Yeah,
honestly, we felt pretty good about being able to. We spent so much time with her. A lot of parents who have kids, they've got jobs. They've got to drop their kids off and go to their work. We were able to take her to our job with us. So it's like take your daughter to work every day. So we were in a fortunate situation where she was able to travel with us, see the world or any of it, but you get pictures and stuff like that and videos and all that, like she's not going to remember Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, but we'll show her, And she was, we got to be with her all the time. So it almost kind of worked out better in some ways.
Yeah. What if she says she wants to follow in mom and dad's footsteps?
Well, she got the best trainers. She's already off to Hudson. I will say how Adam Sandler is such a legend, and I've been such a fan for so long, and how he conducts himself on set, how he's rewriting the script and producing and acting and jumping in. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Very excited.
So now to the event. For folks out there that are watching that may not be familiar with this, tell us how it works.
Money in the Bank?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's a horrible match.
Oh, you're really looking
No, I'm involved in it, but there's 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches that will take place this Saturday.
Oh, my God.
Ladders.
No.
You have to scare. Yeah, she doesn't know. She's just finding out. That's what I feel like. So as you see, the briefcase hanging above the ring, you have to scale the ladder. Retrieve the briefcase. Inside the briefcase is a contract where you can cash it in, get a championship match at any time in a calendar year. It changes lives.
That is crazy.
But at the end of the day, the element of danger is extra high because the ladders are unforgiving. It is one of the wildest matches and experiences you will ever be in. I've been in a handful of them. She's been in a few. This Saturday, fortunate for her, she's just got an Intercontinental Championship match against Lyra Valkyria. I will be the one scaling the ladders for the family.
How many people in the ring when you do that? Money in the Bank?
So each Money in the Bank match has
very big departure from my last interview. I don't think I don't know if they'd ask the same questions or Yoko. Greg, what's that evolution look like? You know, you're looking at this. Did they talk into the building?
So the key is understanding who the audience is, right?
Mm.
So the audience is not us. The audience is their audience.
Exactly.
And it goes back to, I keep going back to what Adrian said earlier about with Trick, how they interviewed him. They built a foundation where people could relate to them. This is a mom and dad.
Yeah.
How are you raising your daughter? What do you do? You've been doing these things. And they've humanized them. They didn't put them on a pedestal and say, oh, you're just a superhero, you're this, that, or whatever. And they're not in full character verbally. Seth is visually. They got the Money in Bank thing there. So I'm sure they explained what that meant. But the key there is how he starts to explain it. And then they started showing the highlights. As they show the highlights, you hear the reaction of the other people at the desk who are not asking questions.
No.
And so
it's there for a reaction.
I think that's where the talk 'em in the building piece comes. It's here's people who I can relate to, who are real people, and holy crap, look at this thing. And what did they do? There's a strategy there that I don't know if you noticed. They showed the women first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes it a bigger impact because I'm sure that most people watching that, you're gonna have a huge female population, I'm sure, during the day.
Mm-hmm.
But when they show the women first, it's like, wait, the girls are doing this?
Right.
And then they show the guys. And I think that's by strategy. And the other key part was, the whole making sure you're aware, Money in the Bank, when it is, where it is, all that kind of stuff. But I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. A departure, like you said, from the other one. But this was much more localized than the Regis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Much more focused to a local show. And I think that probably did appeal to a few others. Now the goal there is not to sell a ticket. The goal there is to get you to watch it on TV.
That is fair.
I think that's the key. Partially, but it's to get you involved. I think the thing now is they want you to sell tickets, and maybe they get to a point. I don't think they're having a hard time selling tickets to that one, but maybe they get to a point where they do it. Yes, it's local, but they may promote Raw. I'm not sure if Raw was there too, but they may promote that. They may promote some other stuff to try to get you maybe get the kids in there. But I think that they're also trying to get you to get some Peacock subscribers and stuff like that too. But the thing is with I think the local part, yes, you want to sell the local tickets, but the local part allows you to get intimate and allows you to build a fan in your local market where they can have that conversation that's different than they have anywhere else. And there's something to be said of, wow, Mom, we watch this every day and there's Seth Rollins.
Right.
Wow, Mom, that's Becky Lynch. Hey, Mom, come watch this. Or Mom saying, hey, Greg, come watch this.
Right.
Don't you watch? So there's a part there that's going to suck in the casual person that's not a wrestling fan. There's the local connection, maybe sell a couple of tickets. But if I can get you to have a little local connection, that community connection, that now I get you to watch week in and week out.
Now
I think it's a bigger thing than it used to be.
I can see that. Yeah.
Oddly, was that their daytime show or was that a
it's their like
broadcast?
Morning news show? I don't know. Maybe it was like hour 2, hour 3,
Okay,
a lot of the local, if you're like in any big city like Atlanta, New York, Chicago, LA, they'll do their morning local news, where this is our morning show, right? In LA, Good Day LA is like the big one that ended up spawning a lot of, and then they dovetail into the national show, right? Famously, NBC has a Today Show, right?
Right.
And then ABC has theirs. This one kind of goes on for some time. I don't know how many hours now. I haven't watched in years, but they don't have a. I think their lead-in is probably like another like daytime talk show, like a
I got
one of
you.
the
I was just
national
wondering.
ones. Yeah, but
It looked like it was
they've
a
been
news
around for a while.
broadcast.
It is typically this is bunched up between the top of the hour news, and if you go further in that segment, they actually do the weather too.
Okay.
Together. It's pretty standard, play. But I thought it's interesting. I never thought. I don't know if asking those personal questions, but I'm going to come to you, Adrian, then, because Greg made some points there about the design. By design, this is, more so to sell the idea that these folks are worth watching or worth paying attention to. What are kind of your thoughts on what do we get out of an interview like this nowadays?
Well, again, the number one goal is to sell tickets, sell attendance, because that's that's Money in the Bank. That was just literally last month. So kids are out of school, so it makes perfect sense to send people out there or send some of your top performers out there, especially with that story, to connect with those moms that are watching the daytime show. So that the moms can say, even though their kids may not be watching, they're like, hey, my kid watches WWE. I actually like those not even characters. I like those people, and I want to do business with them. I'm going to go ahead and get tickets so my son can enjoy his WWE, whereas I can enjoy watching two people that I just found out are married and have a kid and are balanced in life just like me as a consumer. So that's really the main deal with that. The only piece that I have to add to the conversation is it was funny listening to the reactions of one of the anchor people overreacting to a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And the only reason why that low-key triggered me is because I've been on television a few times for restaurants that I've worked for as a demo chef, in teaching people about the restaurant that I work for. And one of the first times that I went was in Southwest Florida, and that kind of threw me off because, I'm talking to this lady prior to recording. She seemed cool, normal, da-da-da. And then once we got on screen, she's talking. And then once she tries the food, she's like overselling it and rewatch. I wish I recorded it, but rewatching it, like she's overselling it. I'm looking like, bitch, what's wrong with you? and I know I gave that because it caught me off guard. I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? But then after that one time doing it again, they did it again. I was just like, okay, so that's part of the show. That's part of the act to go ahead and oversell it for the people that are watching. So I get it. And that's why once we were watching that clip and I heard that, I just got triggered. I was like, oh shit, that's the same thing that woman did or all of these anchors do morning television. So,
And you wonder how many professions go on like daytime TV or anything like that. 6 o'clock news, and it's like, it's very patronizing.
Yeah,
you're treating me, man.
You're starting at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, depending on whatever show you've been on. And they want you to overact and overreact. And it makes sense. What the finished product, it makes sense. But it does catch you off guard if you're not warned. I wish a producer would have warned me that first time because I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, the pizza's good, but it's not that good, lady. Chill out.
Not that good. Relax. Eat the mush and let's move on with it.
Exactly.
Oh, man. No, yeah, it's similar experiences. And it's crazy because I think pro wrestlers are probably like just by definition really good at it. But then you see some actors or just media people who can take a situation like that And once that camera is on, then they don't need that we do because we're not naturally trained, or media trained, but they can turn it on. I remember seeing a Kevin Owens interview, and he's just normally talking to production staff. They were shooting something like outside or something, and we were just in the Esplanade sort of waiting to get in. They turn on, the little red light goes on, and boom, he goes into promo. He goes into character, and boom, 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 and they're done in a minute, and they're back in. And then it aired later. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy, So
they got their own kayfabe, man.
They do. That's a great way of putting it. That's a really great way of putting it. I could tell you stories off there about some of that stuff. I will, not for the podcast. All right. Well, just bear with me. I have one that I wasn't planning on showing here, but I think it's worth looking at only because it's not what I expected. So I'm curious what you guys think of it. And we've seen Ultimate Warrior on a lot of TV shows, and he definitely plays up the gimmick, right? I want to see what you guys think of this one. This is at a parade.
This man last night on Channel 11 defending his championship.
Nice.
He's the Ultimate Warrior, the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion.
He's got one of the most.
He looks so giddy.
In the WWF. He's 275 pounds of chiseled granite. Dennis Bowman right now.
I don't know whether to call him Mr. Warrior or if I can just call him Ultimate. But anyway, the Ultimate Warrior is next to me here. He survived the big challenge last night from the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. It was quite a match, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I would have answered the challenge all the way when the Macho King stepped in. But today, I got my blood pressure is rising real high because I got the Macho King, the Pittsburgh Civic Center at 1:30. And he's going to bow down to the power of the Ultimate Warrior.
We have no doubts about that, Ultimate Warrior. Anything special you want to say to all the holiday folks watching our parade this morning?
I sure do. I want to thank all my Warriors for coming out and saying hello and sitting through the cold weather. And I want everybody to remember that even though that there may be some unfortunate circumstances in their life at this time and this season, remember there's always somebody else that has a little bit worse. It's a better time to give than to receive.
Those are very good words from the Ultimate Warrior.
Never in my life did I think somebody was going to end a promo by the Ultimate Warrior. What a thoughtful message from the Ultimate Warrior. Right. What the hell, man?
He was so giddy.
He was so happy to be. Greg, what are your impressions of Jim Hellwig? Because that certainly wasn't Ultimate Warrior. Come on.
So, as a fan, if I tuned in to see that, I'd be like, this isn't Warrior. You're not painted. You don't even have your own shirt on or a WWE shirt on or anything that's remotely that. You don't have tassels. This is a time when you should have something. You don't have to be over the top sitting there with no shirt on with tassels on. But come on, man. We've seen you wear your jean jacket, airbrushed, paint your face, something. Like, come on. Like, And I'm like, that right there, I can just picture watching that. All I can hear is Vince cussing.
Yeah.
I mean, that did absolutely nothing for anybody. The only thing he did positive in that is he told you at 1:30 he's wrestling Macho King.
That's it.
Beyond that, there was nothing. And it was just like he didn't promote anything. He's just waving like, let me get out of here as soon as I can. His little neon green authority shirt or whatever it was. But I was like, no, this is horrible. This is awful.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't put everybody in this situation.
That's it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wow. And he looked like he had just got another shower too. He's just like, oh, just slick my hair back and this is good enough. Oh man.
Yeah, I just can't picture it. I can't even think of another time I've ever seen him with those type of glasses. Like Sting used to do those glasses sometimes.
Yeah.
But not in an appearance like that. Like he would be painted. Sting would have been painted. Goes back to we talk about taking care of your gimmick as a wrestler. Paying attention to what you're gonna do. Showing up ready.
Yeah.
And that to me, that wasn't Warrior at all. I
And
don't know
not
what
to-
it was.
yeah.
It wasn't
And
even,
not to-
it wasn't even Jim Hellwig. It was just I need something crazy.
Yeah.
I need you to be like, oh, my Warriors or something.
Right.
Talking nonsense. Like just talking
It's
circles.
too early in the morning.
It seemed like he was running through bullet points.
Mm-hmm.
he was waving that hand like he just was almost waving the guy off, man. Oh, like, bro, like they're hyping you up more than like anybody I've heard lately. Is like, you're 275 pounds of chiseled, blah blah blah. Like, Adrian, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, let's call it a promo. It's not even a promo. It's barely a couple words.
Yeah, it's bizarre, man. It's bizarre. It's funny to me. Just looking at this. This man was as big as that car. Like, if you really look at it, like the Warrior was huge, bro.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. You could tell that he's so out of place doing things like that. Like, I will give him some credit and bonus points with the message that he communicated to the Warriors during the holiday season. So I would at least give him credit there. But other than that, I 100% agree with Greg. Everybody's not built for those kind of situations, and clearly he wasn't.
Man, but you look at this, and there's I didn't put this, but if we can put it in the show notes, I'll give it to Adrian to put in the show notes. But there's another one where he does go on Regis and Regis and Kathy, and he's in full gimmick.
Nice.
But he has the same voice. He's not playing it up, and you can tell Regis is starting to get really frustrated, or kind of like, and even the other, kind of like, so wait, I thought you were supposed to get mad, and this is what he does. He goes like casually starts flipping over furniture and going rawr, 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 and then turns around and is like. And it's like, dude, they're telling you exactly what they want to see. And it's like, it just reminded me of this, where it's like, I don't know, maybe he was hungover or something. Who the hell knows?
It's possible, man. It's possible.
But that's like a snapshot right there when people go, why didn't he keep the title longer? Why wasn't he the next one? Why didn't he hold that torch? There you go.
Yeah.
Right there. There's no way you put Hogan out there and that's the same thing.
No.
Not even close. And that's why they kept giving it to Hogan, because they knew he was the ultimate promoter. Like, he went out there and he did business.
Yep.
You put Dusty or Flair or any of those guys out there like that back then.
Macho,
Macho,
Macho would have been perfect.
Macho was
for that.
amazing.
Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, because that was coming up soon after that because of the title run, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Slaughter, Rude, those guys knew it. Bobby Heenan, they knew how to do this. That right there is a snapshot of why Warrior was never truly a top guy.
Yeah. That's a fair point, man. And it's one of those things that kind of gets lost in history, because these type of interviews they're not going to be part of these like nostalgic promo packages, but dare I say, they're important. They're important to know like what you have on your hands, and can you go sit in and know who your character is, right? And be able to display it. You made a great point about Macho, because Macho, Arsenio Hall, I went through so many Arsenio Hall interviews, guys, to prep for this program. Do yourself a favor, just type in Arsenio Hall pro wrestling. It is like a time capsule of like pop culture, pro wrestling, interview shows. Amazing. And there's so many things that are memed from his interviews alone. But you had so many people that just go on these shows and they know who they are. And this is a minute and a half, I think, give or take, if I go back to it, or maybe 30 seconds probably with Warrior. Man, it's like, how many people do we know? Tell me, you got a 30-minute second promo at a parade, they're gonna knock it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna know who their character is, you're gonna know who they are. And here he's resting, right? He's literally, you gotta know that he's Warrior. And shout out to the production crew, because whoever smartened them up did a great job, because they definitely made it seem like he was a big deal. So that was
let me ask you guys a quick question about that Warrior promo, because this irritated me. So the more I look at it, what would you have done different? So I'd
to coach him?
If you were gonna tell him what he should do, what would you tell him to do?
So I'm envisioning this. He's on some call sheet. They have him set up. You have to be up at 5 a.m, because seems early as hell. The interviewer seems like super cold, so it's probably cold outside. They're all buttoned up. He says they're flying. They have all these commitments. If he doesn't tear my head off and I'm a producer and I can just talk to him like Frank, and I'm like, first of all, I ask him, "Where's your gimmick?" Or not in so many words. This is going to be on TV. You might want to consider that. That's number one. It's got to be. Then if I'm the guy that's in the car next to him, I have the earpiece and I'm producing, I'm like, can you tell Warrior we're going to be on in 30 seconds and we need him to really sell the pay-per-view? Now, my expectation is to ask beforehand, and hopefully, again, he doesn't tear our head off because we're talking about kayfabe. Is this going to be in character, or do you want to talk more, a little less in character? I don't know how I'd phrase it, but something that it clearly communicates to him, we need you to amp it up a little bit for TV. Just for the 30 seconds. For the rest of Parade and everybody's taking video. I mean, it's the 90s. Nobody was really taking video cameras anywhere as much. But at least for those 30 seconds, can you just be you? Be the guy that we see on TV. And if I have those two things, I'm good. My suspicion is he wouldn't have had it either way. He probably had already made up his mind. He probably had already gotten a sense of what he wanted to get done. And again, I'm going to stand by that idea. Maybe he wasn't quite all there. That's all I'm saying.
It's very possible. Very possible. I mean, what I would have him do, or this is me, big picture. What I would do is have it set up where he's in his full gimmick. This is a parade, so it's obviously a lot of people there. I would open a lane for him to run through to get to the car or whatever. Don't ask him any damn questions. Just have him run through where everyone's like, what the hell is going on? And let him get into the car or whatever, and then just let him go crazy and have someone who actually represents WWF actually with the interview and talking up this madman who's our champ and how you should be excited to see him against the legendary Macho Man, that sort of thing. Let's play to our strengths. Let's play to our strengths. That's what I would do.
And there was a rep with him. It had to be, right?
Somebody. Always. My thought would be, first off, we've talked about all these interviews so far. They set up a foundation.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they set up that foundation to relate to your audience. And who this audience is normally a casual or non-fan. First thing he should talk about is being World Wrestling Federation champion and having beat Hulk Hogan. The moment he says I've beaten Hulk Hogan, he's legitimized himself.
Right.
To a whole group of people who do know who Hulk Hogan is.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're burying Hulk Hogan. He can say something with the strength of my warriors. I was able to beat Hulk Hogan for this title. I'm going to face not Macho King. I'm going to face Macho Man.
Right.
Who now calls himself Macho King.
Go ahead.
Why?
Walk them through the story.
I need you to, because you know who Macho Man is. We know during that time frame, mainstream people knew who Randy Savage was and Hulk Hogan. So I think this is where that coaching comes in. It says because I don't think he's promoting a pay-per-view. I think he's promoting just a local show in Pittsburgh because it's like a 1 o'clock show. So I'm going to see Macho Man, who now calls himself the Macho King, at 1 o'clock at the Pittsburgh whatever. Come get your tickets now available at your local whatever. Right. That's the parts he has to hit, in my opinion. And of course he needs to have the paint on. And he could wear, he's cold. He had those warrior jackets and all that kind of stuff. Just something. It had to be like, shirtless. But something. I'm just sitting there watching this. It's just irritating me.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. It was just killing me. I'm like, I do wish I had seen, I would. That's one of those things. A fly on the wall to see Vince's reaction would be awesome.
It is funny to see his promos when he's frustrated, and then you see his regular voice come in, and it's like, oh, brother. I'm like,
so off topic. Well, not off topic, but a little bit about Warrior. I've listened to something to wrestle with, and JBL's been on there a lot. And he said, he goes, we were in the airport one time, and Warrior's going, I don't understand why these MF and Marks keep coming up to me, and I don't understand why they just won't leave me alone. He goes, and here he is, sitting in a jacket that has the Ultimate Warrior on it, tassels on it, sunglasses on. He's like, it's obvious who you are. You're not remotely an
not a little
incognito,
human, bro.
Yeah.
and you're wondering why people are coming up to you.
Read the room, bro.
That's the one that, don't they talk about Jim Ross can walk through an airport without a cowboy hat and nobody will care?
Yes.
But the moment he does, he's like, oh crap, it's
Yeah,
JR.
he's mobbed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, that's hilarious, man. Oh my gosh. But see, that to your point, he could have worn something like that. Like, not okay, forget the face paint. Just wear something that remotely represents your gimmick. You know?
Right.
Just anything. Anyway. Well, that's another. We'll come back to another Warrior promo someday. I just thought that was weird because I'd never seen it.
In the archives, we do have a Warrior program.
That's right. That's right.
Go back and look at it.
That's right. Intothebuilding.com.
Yeah,
Intothebuilding.com is one of my favorite of all time. Go check it out. Oh man,
He likes seeing him as the Dingo Warrior in world class.
I love that. All right, we've established a couple things now, right? That establishing yourself as your character, whether it's in kayfabe or out of kayfabe, establishing that you're a big deal or that you should be seen as a big deal, establishing the TV show or the program and promoting that. All that said, I want you to keep in mind all those tenets of a good local program to talk you into the building. And as you watch this next piece, which is already going to be in progress, I cut out a lot. There's a whole entrance and a limousine and a lot of stuff. It's going to be dubbed, so bear with me. But a lot of it doesn't need a lot of translation. And I want you to process this if this was a good promo segment or not. And would it talk you into the building? This comes from AAA on a national TV program in Mexico, morning talk show called Venga la Alegría. This is on TV Azteca, which is another competitor to the bigger Televisa. And in this particular segment, Alberto Del Rio is AAA champion. He will go on to face Vikingo or, El Hijo del Vikingo. And we're going to pick it up towards the end of the interview.
Es como el espontáneo que se mete ahí en los toros a un partido de fútbol.
So he's talking about Vikingo who's in the ring and El Hijo del Vikingo is being held back.
Con Alexis Vega. No importa, no es tu lugar.
Basically, stay out of the ring. This doesn't belong to you anymore.
Señor, le queda re bien. Zapatero, obrero a tus zapatos, por favor.
Alberto Del Rio, ¿qué se puede esperar para esta lucha este sábado 31 en el gimnasio Juan de la Barrera?
Mira, es bien sencillo. Se lo digo aquí al Hijo del Vikingo. El Hijo del Vikingo es como cuando ustedes van por esas calles aquí en la Ciudad de México. No esta colonia, no aquí donde está TV Azteca. Cuando se van más para allá, para el norte. Y ven un perro ladrándole al carro. Persiguiendo.
Annoying,
Ese es el Hijo del Vikingo. ¿Por qué? Porque ¿qué pasa cuando un perro alcanza el carro? Mirando y no hace nada. Eso es el Hijo del Vikingo. O sea, va a ladrar al Rolls Royce Alberto Del Rio, y cuando en el centro del ring me alcance, se va a quedar viéndome como un tarado. Eso va a pasar el sábado.
Oye, Alberto, invitamos al Hijo del Vikingo, por algo no está aquí, pero te mandó este mensaje, ¿lo quieres ver?
Pero,
ponle play, por favor, para que lo escuche aquí.
Saludos a todos mis amigos de Venga la Alegría. Yo soy el gran jinete, el Hijo del Vikingo. Desafortunadamente, el día de hoy no puedo acompañarlos a todos ustedes por compromisos laborales. Agradezco infinitamente todas las muestras de cariño y apoyo por mi compromiso de este sábado en el Juan de la Barrera, por mi lucha por el megacampeonato. Una persona muy especial para mí está en el set con todos ustedes para platicar. Agradezco que lo reciban cordialmente. Mi señor padre, Kim Vikingo.
Espérame. ¿Cómo que está en el set? O sea, trajeron al New York Steak a la mesa. ¿Quién necesita tamales? O sea, por favor, corregimos aquí. Producción, aquí está la estrella del programa. No necesitamos a nadie, por favor. Por favor.
¿Qué pasaría si Alberto
algo pasó?
Del Rio...
Alguien viene ahí, mira nada más.
Diosito mío, momento de
¿Qué está
tensión.
pasando? ¿Qué está sucediendo?
Precisamente hablábamos de Señor padre, la dinastía.
O sea, nosotros acordamos algo.
Bienvenido, señor.
Para que yo viniera a la
Señor,
ciudad
¿cómo
de
está?
México.
Bienvenido.
No sé si sea correcto que se ponga de este lado, no queremos que haya ningún tipo de problema, pero ya escuchaste las declaraciones, ya escuchaste cómo se expresan
Vikingo is out
ustedes.
in the
¿Qué tiene que
ring,
decir?
and he's gonna have some words for Alberto.
Aquí el señor tiene un compromiso hasta 31.
Alberto's going after Vikingo. Now, Patron is beating the living daylights out of Vikingo.
El señor venía muy tranquilo.
No lo toques, ni se te ocurra. Ni se te ocurra. Ni se te ocurra.
And the director saying, I told you I didn't want this, get him out of here.
Fuera de aquí. Esto es una falta de respeto. Esto es una falta de respeto. Esto es una... Esto es una falta de respeto. Y a ti te lo dije, ¿eh? Yo, a ti te lo dije. A ti te lo dije. Mucho cuidado. Mucho cuidado. Mucho cuidado tocando.
¡Sáquenlo ya!
Volvemos al campeonato.
¡Sáquenlo ya!
¿Qué hacemos? Mucho cuidado con tocarme, escucha.
Ya. ¡Vamos a corte!
Sergio Corte. Bueno, esperemos que esté bien el vikingo. Con 10:44. Vamos a corte y regresamos aquí al canal.
You're wrong for leaving him in the back like that was beautiful.
All right. So,
Kayfabe, everyone. Kayfabe.
My favorite part is everybody's like erecting, and then the youngest like production assistant is like quickly recording for social media. It's like, oh, this is a good spot. Adrian, what do you think about you keeping up with kayfabe? And honestly, like, look, it's Mexico, lucha libre. You can go to the story, but this is still a daytime talk show.
Absolutely.
This is a national show. This is not a local show anymore, right? This is akin to a Regis, you know. It's something that people get up and watch every day. What are you thinking as you're watching this?
I'm thinking you just sold a lot of seats just off of that segment, just off of that morning. Out of all the examples you've brought, this is probably, even though it's a little dangerous at times, it's probably the best example of talking people into the building. If this is, we've all spoken about how Lucha Libre is so embraced by the community, where your grandma is watching Lucha Libre and she knows the guys that are the rudos, they know the technicals, you know. She wants to see Alberto get his tail whipped for beating up on Vikingo's dad, man. Like everybody wants to see that. So if you don't already have tickets, and they did mention the date of the show and where it's located.
Absolutely.
They did a terrific
catch.
Yeah, Alberto did a terrific job there. And he did a terrific job of setting the characters, making more of the working class person be behind Vikingo. If I heard correctly, he basically called him a little dog. Like he's from the streets. He's a little dog. He's nothing. Whereas I'm the big star. I'm the big deal or whatever. You as a working class person, you're like, man, screw this guy. I want to see this pretty boy get his tail whipped, especially after the actions that were displayed. So, that was a great example. I don't think that we can do too much of that stateside. I think they could, but not too much. I think that was very well done. So that talked me into the building. That made us pay attention. Hell, it went viral stateside, for better or for worse, because of Alberto and his past or current. But hell, they did a great job. That was a hell of a segment.
You mentioned a little detail, and I kind of want to ask you a follow-up question. You said that they mentioned the place, right? They mentioned the time, the date.
Yes.
And if you're listening, I know it's hard to hear through the subtitles. It's actually one of the interviewers that says that.
Ah.
He actually tucks it in there as he's getting into the conversation with Alberto and sets him up to say more, and that's I think where he gets into the conversation. You're right to point him out as a pretty boy earlier in the longer clip, because it's a fairly long it's a long interview for what we see here.
Right.
He's making fun of his hair. He's literally setting him up as a pretty boy, essentially.
Right.
But Greg, purely as something where you're getting talked into the building, and this already is a big match. You know, the background of it is the Mexican people actually don't really like Hijo del Vikingo right now. They love Alberto. They love El Patron. Talk to me as how they're framing this, and does this seem like something that would talk you into the building?
It would, because it blurred a line. Because the line got blurred because he knocked the living crap out of that dude.
He did.
And then he kicked him. It was kudos to everybody. Because I'm not going to lie, when I first saw it, I'm like, first off, I didn't know until just now that was Vikingo's dad. So every time they showed that clip, social media, you mentioned that, they clipped it a certain way to where you didn't see the whole thing.
Right.
I had to research it, and I still never saw everything you just put. So it was kind of like, oh, wow, I thought this was some dude was on the set, a host. I didn't know who he was. But I saw when he hit him, I was like, oh, that was real.
Yeah.
Then when he kicked him, that was real. Like, he kicked the crap out of him. And so it was that type of thing and then the producer, the way the host acted, the way the producer acted, and that final slight confrontation in the back, so well done.
Yeah.
It blurred lines that you just don't expect to be blurred. And yeah, do I think they've taught people in the building? 100%.
Hell yeah.
Because to your point, they made him the pretty boy, the well-off dude, talking down to this working class guy, and then what happens? I beat up his dad.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I want to see this happen, right? And yeah, I think definitely it sold some tickets.
And to be fair, I don't know if it's his dad or just that's the trainer. You know, how in Mexico they pass down the gimmick sometimes.
True. Very true.
It might. Maybe it is his son.
Dad.
I always forget. Dad. Sorry.
I thought it was.
Sorry, the other way. It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It has
Is
to
it?
be, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm double checking. Yeah, it is. You're right. Awesome.
But I mean, to me, it's just like when he kicked him, I was like, damn.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That was not. That was not a working kick.
No. But then they showed it, and you could see he had kicked him.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end, you can see, oh wow, But you're gonna have to if you have something like that. That we talked about throughout this whole show, old school to now. You're gonna do that. You gotta sell out. You gotta be prepared, and you go hard at it like that. That's the Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler stuff.
Yeah.
They blurred a line that for years people didn't know, and that to me, that Alberto segment right there, akin to that.
Yeah.
It really did blur the line where I guess I'm just a fan like everybody else, because I still question how much of that they did agree to, because they make it a point at the end. I'm sure she's like the director, the main producer. She's saying, we did not agree to this. She's literally going past the line saying, like, we agreed to a segment and we know they're going to physicality. We didn't agree to that. Get him out of here. And then you see the other guy with the glasses, he has the headset on. He's like, no, we don't want this. We don't want this. And they start putting hands on Del Rio. He's saying, get your hands off me. How dare you?
Yeah.
And it's a real moment where I'm like, yo, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But hey, ultimately, I think it was a great outcome for all parties involved, because I bet you nobody gave a damn about Venga la Alegría here unless you're in the Latino household, because it shows in the States. But yeah, it's like, you're right. I'm sure. There was a sellout. I think that show ended up being a sellout, and that was a show where Del Rio does end up, or Alberto Patron does end up dropping the title,
right?
And that's how we get it on Vikingo eventually. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I think Mexico's a little bit of a different beast. Wrestling is still, it seems to seem a little different way in some ways, but that's not to say that if an American came and did something like that, it wouldn't be seen the same way, honestly. And I'm curious with now it being with AAA being owned by WWE, if they hold on to things like this in the long term, are they willing to play ball with a Mexican audience and maybe push a little bit more than they typically would for an American audience like this? Because like you said, I couldn't see this wouldn't fly like on Regis and Kelly or whatever the new iteration of it is.
I don't see
But what
why
would be
not.
interesting is I wonder it might though. Like it has to be a special one-off. But if you did something like that and you made it feel like that on a McAfee show or on the Pivot podcast or something, on a ESPN show with Stephen A, I don't know, and you just knocked the living crap out of somebody, because the key there, they didn't hit a host.
Right.
Yeah.
They hit another
So you're not going to
worker.
get a lawsuit.
Right.
But you don't tell them, because you could do it. You could pull it off and not tell them. I mean, what are they going to do? Make you pay for the table he threw? I mean, whatever. So it's like, I think you could pull it off on a one-off.
Yeah.
Man, and the press you could get off of it. But the key is you got to make it real.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine somebody throwing Stephen A. Jackson or Stephen A. Smith across the damn studio. That would be hilarious.
Cracking his bag, sticking his shirt off like that. Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty incredible, and it makes me appreciate when things are well done. And again, we talk about also from a production side, the interviewers being in on it ultimately, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, that was this episode. We talked about these TV talk shows. We used to do a little bit ending segment that if you guys will just bear with me here. I want to share it's a non-wrestling segment, but to this day is probably one of my favorite local TV promos of all time. For me, it's an all-timer because it's funny. Let me see if you guys can get into it. So this is Tracy Morgan on local TV.
Known for doing great characters. I mean, you're a character.
I'm the Ooh Chow. Yeah, that's right. I don't have what LL got. I don't got biscuits. I got a loaf of bread. Come get this, ladies. You're gonna eat. Come get. You hear that? Look at that. That's a mating call. That's a mating call.
Is that pretty much what people can expect, Tracy?
All
tonight?
the pretty ladies here, this is a mating call.
So people are going to pay to see your show, and they'll just see you smacking on your butt.
I'm taking all the power back. Wait a minute.
Oh, well,
hold
like
on.
we've got to approach that. We're so
back. I got to take the power back. Put it back on.
We just lost your microphone. Oh, he's taking his shirt off.
My shirt off.
You might want to put the microphone. You might want to put
Texas. Come on, don't go to break. This is Texas.
So we're this is just a sample of what people can expect. More dancing, more shirtless action.
Love. It's all love. I'm Captain James T. Kirk. I went to Vietnam.
Tracy, one of your favorite characters, one of the characters you do, one of my
I got to get them wheelchair gloves. You know the black leather one with the fingers cut off?
I'm going to stop asking questions. Do Spoony Love. Do a little bit of Spoony Love. Can you do that for me? This is the character you do in Crank Yankers. One of my favorites.
Spoon?
You might want to hold that.
Let me see. Spoony Love was shame on. No, I can't do Spoony. Spoony was graphic.
Yeah, you're right. You can't
I get his children watching. But I did get this leg blowed off in Vietnam.
Well, apparently you have no problems taking your shirt off, so that's okay.
That's love. That's sexy.
That is an impressive.
You know I'm a sex symbol.
Oh yeah, look at your physique. It's very impressive.
Sex symbol.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Holla at me. Come see me. I'm at the comic strip.
Look at that.
Not the comic strip, but the comic script.
Tracy Morgan will perform this weekend.
I love you. I love you, Chuck. I love you, Chuck.
Tickets still available, folks. And
my favorite part of that, it's on the reporter's YouTube page. It's on his really? It's part of his reel. He used to be in LA for a little bit, and yeah, I love when they lose control and they don't know what to do with it. That's it.
You know, some good drinks in that green room.
Oh boy.
Lead me to that.
Well, anywho, so it would talk me into the building. I would have bought a ticket that night for sure.
That's a fact.
If you're still with us, audience, this is the show. We look at promos. Usually, we look at more in-ring promos. But we thought we'd take a little bit of a turn today. But this is a conversation. This is a good one. I'm always happy to hang out with my friends over here and talk wrestling and really get into it because this is so fun. It's always fun to get into the nuances of wrestling and what didn't work. And the cool thing is, you all have your own preferences. So in the comments, maybe leave a link to your favorite local TV interviews. What do you look for in a promo? Who's your favorite, guy or gal that's good on TV and good at, selling the show ultimately? But that's going to be it for tonight in terms of local TV shows. And we hope to catch you next time. Go intothebuilding.com. That's intobuilding.com. It's going to take you directly to the YouTube page. Otherwise, you can just Google us, Talk 'em in the Building, and we'll be here. Check out the archive. And for now, from Greg, from Adrian, this is Adalid on the West Coast. And we'll see y'all next time here on Talk 'em in the Building.